Howdy! Good morning, Austin. Good morning, Texas. Not really. We are actually in Hamburg, Germany, and it's 6:30 here at night. Nonetheless, we're really happy to give you a little bit of hot stuff in mobility, intelligent transport systems, and logistics in the coming hour. Not only for Austin and the South by Southwest community, but for everybody around the world, basically. We have a great startup from India. We have somebody from the West Coast. We have somebody from Berlin. And me, myself, I'm Johannes Berg, the Managing Director of Digital Hub Logistics. I have here with me Tobias. Toby, good morning, good evening. We have to switch a little bit between time zones. Are you still awake?
Yeah, still. Long day, but I think we can do it.
So great, Toby. You are sort of in charge of organizing something really big here in Hamburg in October. Tell us, what's that all about?
Yeah, it's the ITS World Congress 2021 version that we have here in Hamburg. We are the host city of this year's ITS World Congress. Of course, I'm not in charge alone. There is a big team that comes with it. The city of Hamburg is actually the host city, but we also have an organizer that is Ertico ITS Europe. And the ITS World Congress really is about intelligent transport systems. So we are seeking what is the potential of digitization when it comes to our traffic systems, when it comes to mobility and logistics. And I think the ITS World Congress is a very good event for that because, as the name states, it's international. So you get a lot of different views from around the globe. Challenges are quite different, actually, in the different regions. And the thing is that it is just a good mixture of participants because we don't only have the industry there, meaning we have a lot of software companies, we have traditional OEMs, we have tier one suppliers, other manufacturers, but you also have a lot of public sector in there because ITS involves a lot of infrastructure. So it's a good mixture. And I think it's also very interesting this year because Hamburg has a big agenda behind it. Hamburg has an own ITS strategy that's only dedicated to these technologies. And we're currently here in the city in a phase that we call mobility transition, meaning we actively want to encourage our citizens to change their mobility behavior towards more active modes, towards more sustainability, towards more efficiency, and technology can help with that. And this is why the ITS fits us and our agenda at the moment very good. But before I speak too much about all the projects we have quite a lot actually. Let me just show you a short video about what's going on here in Hamburg in ITS.
Great.
Hi, are you also looking forward to 2021? Today, I'll show you what's been happening with mobility in Hamburg lately and what you can expect at the ITS World Congress. Hamburg is alive and mobility gives it its pulse. I call it Hamburg Takt. The aim of the city is that no one has to wait more than 5 minutes for public transport. It's exciting and it's made for people in the Hanseatic city. I don't need to pay attention to timetables. I just move through the city when and how I want to. And I always find a connection. Last year's vision is now in progress. Heat is up and running. Tests for autonomous driving in the middle of the city. Crazy, isn't it? New mobility doesn't always need streets though. More and more drones are being used in Hamburg. For instance, to transport urgent lab samples between hospital and testing labs. Important deliveries for hospitals now go quickly and securely with Medifly, and there's no traffic congestion. I think the coolest thing is the Hamburg Takt. Timetables, they don't matter. I can switch between transport modes at any time and I'll always make my connection. Hamburg is planning 60 kilometers of new bike paths every year. And there are more and more bicycle parking garages. It's good for the climate and great for bike fans like me. I feel safe too. Hamburg focuses on less protected road users like cyclists. Our traffic authority is working with citizens to rethink how we do things, what makes sense and mobility safer. We'll see you next year in October. I'm looking forward to it. Feel the pulse of the city yourself. Experience lots of ITS projects and new alternatives for inner city mobility, live.
Well, Toby, thanks for that great video. While watching it, I really have to say time flies anyways, but looking forward to October here in Hamburg. Well, as you could have all seen, probably not only in Austin, there's lots of initiatives going on towards how we move, how we are mobile in the future, also in Hamburg. But there is one other city, actually not too far away from Hamburg. You in the US may know that city from Oktoberfest, from Bits and Pretzels, and maybe from BMW. But let me tell you, or let me assure you, there's lots more happening with regards to innovation in mobility. And I'm very happy to have the Digital Hub Mobility with us also, and so to say my sister in crime, as she said recently, Kirstin Hegner, the Managing Director of Digital Hub Mobility in Munich. Kirstin, servus, good evening, or good morning as we have to say in Austin now. Hope you are well, and you are going to give us a few minutes of fresh air on some really exciting projects that you have done in Munich, and maybe our viewers, our listeners in Hamburg and around the world will say, hey, what they've done in Munich is maybe also a copy-paste worth in our city. So the floor is yours, Kirstin. Off you go.
Hi, Johannes. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I love working with you guys to make this ITS World Congress happen and to make it a great success for startups and investors, because they're such an important factor in innovation. Now, what I want to focus on today are innovations for cooler cities. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, as you said, we're based in Munich, and Munich is in the middle of Europe, close to the Alps. And Munich is a hot city. In the summer, temperatures go up to 50 degrees Celsius, and because all the stone, concrete, and steel, and so on. And areas with vegetation are much cooler. As you might know, we have a big park in the cities, kind of like Central Park in New York, and there it's much cooler. So vegetation makes cities cooler, but how do you get more vegetation into the city? So we're looking for innovations in mobility that can contribute to this. So how could we get more green into this typical Munich city street? Well, actually, it's only possible if you get cars out. You can only bring green in if you make room for them. And in Munich, for example, we have 1.5 million inhabitants, and we have 780,000 cars that a lot of them are parked in the city, quite underutilized. And same applies to other cities like Paris. This is the vision of Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, how to make Paris greener. And so what we did here in Munich was a neat little experiment. Nothing bombastic like you just made it sound, Johannes, but it was neat anyway. We got the permission to take out 4 parking spaces in this little street and to redesign it with the people that lived around there. And so that's what we did. But taking out 4 parking spaces sounds easy, but getting people to get rid of their car is much harder. Now, how do we do that? So what we did, we tried to show them with this little experiment how they could be mobile in the city without their own car. So we provided them with all kinds of mobility alternatives. We gave them a budget of €300 for a whole month, They parked their cars away. They could have reached them in an emergency, but they were gone. And we provided them with an app, the Movester app, that was actually designed a few years ago in our digital mobility lab. And with this app, they could book all these alternatives, obviously public transport, shared mobility, shared cars, car rental, taxis, e-scooters, e-kick scooters, mopeds, whatever. People also obviously use their own private bikes. And with the app, they could manage their mobility, and we could trace what they actually used. We also asked them to log in every day how satisfied they were with their mobility situation, which they did. And actually, at the end of the experiment, 1/3 of the households decided to get rid of their own private cars. So this confirmed our hypothesis that with innovation and with digital innovations, people can be convinced that they might not need their own private cars. The experiment also showed where real improvements are necessary. For example, how to get to the mountains, how to get to the lakes on weekends, where you preferably would go with your own cars. So that's what we're looking for, and this is only a small example of the kind of work that we do. We're also going to move into a really cool new building next month. It's called the Munich Urban COLAB. That's where we're going to work with the city of Munich, with our corporate partners, with startups, with scale-ups on innovations for cool cities. So if you want to join us, this is what it's going to look like. We're in very close proximity of a lot of important tech companies like Google, Apple, the Technical University of Munich, BMW. So there's a lot of space there and a lot of good ideas to work with. So come and join us. And but first thing, come and join the ITS World Congress in Hamburg. And this is my chance to introduce to you Alexander Meister. He's responsible at GraphMasters for smart mobility. He's going to tell you about GraphMasters himself, but I want to say that GraphMasters is such a cool scale-up that it can now also be a sponsor for the ITS World Congress startup area. So that's the way to go. And thanks for having me, and I look forward to discussing with you later.
Well, Kirsten, what a nice introduction. Thank you very much for everyone. You can still hear me, that's good. So it seems that I actually need to get onto my NUNAV application, which is a collaborative routing and navigation system. Just type in the new hub that you move in, and then try to figure out how we can actually work together and help Munich to become more sustainable by increasing traffic flow in the city simply by using a different way of navigating. Now, I would like to invite anybody out there from startups to scale-ups to established companies to come and embrace really the new and cool ideas that we in Germany and all over the world bring together, that you will also hear from these startups in a few minutes. And my message to any of you is, do not give up. Just if you get one over the head, then just bend over, knock it over, and get up again and keep rolling. We were founded in 2013, having won the Microsoft Imagine Cup. We had to find our way in this world where navigation systems, traditional navigation systems, are all over the place. You get it with any iPhone, with any Android phone, and we're still there. Today, every third parcel in Germany is delivered and picked up by a NUNAV powered routing system. In the Austrian Post is doing full rollouts. Entire cities are embracing our way of doing collaborative routing, meaning sharing the space that we have on the street evenly across all users. So this is really the integration that we're going to show at the ITS World Congress. And now I simply like to show you a video where you can actually see what a cool place Hamburg is and get to know the people which you're going to meet. Hopefully there. I see you there. Bye.
Hamburg is a place that aspires to make sustainable, efficient, and innovative mobility and logistics solutions accessible to the general public throughout the entire city. Whether it's for the port, the airport, or city logistics, Hamburg aims to seek solutions that really can be used by all of us, ideally on a daily basis, with the ultimate goal of creating a nicer sense of mobility in the city for everyone.
We see ourselves as one of the driving forces in the ITS community. We can learn a lot from existing products, but at the same time, we try to link our pet projects, like the new nav technology, with existing ITS products. And the best way for us to achieve this is from the Digital Hub.
Das gelingt uns hier aus dem Digital Hub heraus am besten. With
the ITS World Congress in Hamburg, we want to have our finger on the pulse, of course, but we also have an extremely large customer here in Hamburg, the Hermes Group Germany. And at the same time, we also control our digital traffic guidance solutions from here, like when we set the world record for network driving here in Hamburg, or the digital traffic guidance for the Andreas Gabalier and Udo Lindenberg concerts, which took place last year.
We must not stop coming up with new ideas under any circumstances, so we have joined forces with Digital Hub Mobility in Munich and want to take these success stories with us on a roadshow from Hamburg to Munich to Zurich, Vienna, Berlin, to bring the momentum along with us, but of course to also take the momentum that we already have in Hamburg out into the world.
Graph Masters and NUNAV guys, they are special and very, very nice people. We're very happy to have them with us in Hamburg, but also, of course, at the ITS World Congress. Toby, we're gonna talk a little bit more about other startups later on, but to jump right into it, do you own a cargo bike?
Actually not, to be honest, and it is, for me personally, it is a parking issue. I would, but for me that's actually a very interesting thing that still needs to be solved around the cargo bikes, because I cannot really park it well where I live. So I would, probably, if I could park it.
Okay.
Which is an interesting thought, because for me at the moment, that refers a little bit to what Kirsten said. It's easier to find a parking spot for my car.
Okay. Good point. I have to say that to everybody in Austin, whether when you come to Hamburg one day, we just ordered a big cargo bike for the Digital Hub, but we have one person with us this morning and evening who's a real expert in how a cool, fancy, hot cargo bike that will revolutionize the last mile looks like. And that's the CEO and founder of Onomotion, Beres Selber from Berlin. Beres, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are the first of our three startups from around the world. And maybe you can, while giving your presentation, answer Toby's pain a little bit on where to park it. But enough talk, the floor is yours.
Hi, Johannes. Thank you very much for the introduction. And yeah, Toby, I will get back to your question later on. I'm Beres. I'm one of the three founders of Onomotion, and we developed a last mile solution for parcel delivery companies or e-grocery companies. And what motivates us is we want to make this planet greener. We really want to save CO2 emissions, and we have to do this, especially in traffic in Germany. The last 5 to 10 years, we didn't reduce the emissions, and this is now the agenda, and we as a startup have to solve that. And it's not only about CO2 emission, it's also about making cities smarter, making them greener, and making them more enjoyable. And how did we do this? We really started with a white paper, like really from the ground. And we went to these parcel delivery companies like UPS, like DHL, and we really asked them, what do you need to leave the diesel trucks at home? What do you need to be able to scale last mile delivery? And what you see on that slide, our Ono bike, is the solution we came up. So this was developed the last 3 years, and it's now a bike for last mile delivery. You can change the containers, you have a weather protection, you have a beautiful design, and it's parked where you can also park a car, and it's also used for city hubs. So there are more and more city hubs in European cities where you actually can park these vehicles. And I think this we also need to see in the future, that there are more and more parking lots taken away and given for micromobility to make cities greener and smarter. So in which industries we are? So this is like a typical build picture from Germany these days. Corona make this even worse. E-commerce really grow a lot, and that's why we need new vehicles, we need new solutions. And like I mentioned already before, parcel delivery is one market, but e-grocery is a very growing market, which is really interesting for us. Micromobility as well. So we have companies who swap the batteries of their scooters with our vehicle. And then also you have waste management. So you have stuff which needs to be sent out of the city. So there are a lot of different potential markets where you can actually use our solution. And we are just at the beginning. We have now like 30 bikes on the street in Berlin. We have 2 bikes on the street in Hamburg. So it's just at the beginning. And we hope to see a lot of more bikes in the future in order to improve the quality of life in cities. So who we are a team of 36 members based in Berlin. We do R&D, marketing, very young, motivated team, very impact driven. We work together with tier 1 automotive companies who do the production of our vehicle. We are active in Germany in the moment. We already got quite a bit of interest also from the United States and also from Canada. So I think you also will see us in the United States in the next couple of years. Thank you a lot. Now I give the word to Kamal from India. He is co-founder and CEO of AutoViz. They do connected mobility solutions to make mobility safer, more convenient, and more affordable. Kamal, please.
Hey, thank you, Boris. Good morning, good evening, everyone from different parts of the world. I am Kamal Agarwal, co-founder and CEO of AutoViz. We are a startup based in Bangalore, and we are in the domain of connected mobility solutions to make mobility safer, more convenient, and more economical. At its core, we are an automotive IoT company using sensors and large-scale data analytics to essentially provide use cases which make mobility safer, convenient, and affordable for a variety of use cases. So here's a kind of a technology overview of what we do. Essentially deal with sensors in devices which are fitted into cars using a variety of connectivity solutions, and then analytics either on cloud or at the edge, really create apps which car owners, fleet owners, and different auto ecosystem participants can use for use cases like very advanced driving behavior modeling, monitoring location intelligence, monitoring vehicle health, and innovative insurance. So essentially, it's all about using the big data which is coming from these connected cars to make life simpler and to make the ownership experience of vehicles more rewarding. Here's a use case, for example, for car owners, for personal car owners, in the coronavirus times, as people are, kind of using their personal cars a little bit more as compared to public transport. People are holding on to the cars for a longer period, and there's a huge installed base of cars around the world. These type of smart car apps can help car owners to really make best use of their cars. So it's like a small device that fits into the car and monitors your driving behavior, giving you tips on how you can drive in a safer manner, how you can drive in a manner where you can save on fuel, and make sure your car health is up to date. And this kind of connected solutions can create a very connected auto network, which can really anchor the relationship of a car owner with the ecosystem. So using this connected data or analyzed data, one can have better relationship with the OEM, one can have more risk-based pricing from the insurers. As a car owner, I can get better understanding of when I need to service something or when I need to do some repair, and I can get better value of my used car. So in all, it leads to these type of technologies leads to a more seamless and more unified, rewarding car experience. Also, in the shared mobility context, some of these automotive IoT technologies, connected mobility solutions are very important. Just to talk one aspect of it on the safety aspect, Kirsten talked about different modes of transport being offered to private car owners. Now, one of the challenges we see that as people use different modes of transport, let's say a scooter or a motorcycle on a demand basis, there is increased risk as people are occasionally driving those vehicles and they may be unfamiliar with those vehicles and locations. So we need these technologies to measure the driving or the riding behavior in the context of different vehicles, identify any risky driving behavior and encourage, whosoever is the user of shared mobility to ride or drive in a safer manner. So we offer some technologies which are more personalized, which make use of smartphone sensors, so that a user who is using a car one day or a cycle another day or a motorcycle another day can seamlessly see their driving behavior in the context of the vehicle they're driving and be encouraged to drive in a safer manner, whichever mode of transport they may be using. So that's a quick overview of what we do. I think we've talked about enough about mobility in our discussion today. I think it's the right time I'd like to pass it on to the next startup that we have. Shippo is a startup from United States in the area of shipping and logistics, and their goal is to make logistics and shipping best practices democratized for different e-commerce companies. So we have Mario, who is head of marketing at Shippo, and I'd like to give the stage to Mario to talk about Shippo.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kamal. Very, very insightful presentation. It makes me think that when I actually start driving around again after this work from home world ends, that I'll need to be looking into to your solution for some help myself, but extremely excited to be here today and share the stage with such an awesome group of folks building such cool technology. As a quick intro, as Kamal mentioned, I'm Mario Paganini. I head up the marketing team for a company called Shippo. We're a growth stage startup based out of San Francisco, California. And if this wasn't already abundantly clear, we focus on e-commerce shipping. And at the core of what we do, our mission is really to productize and democratize shipping best practices such that any business of any size, of any technological savvy can tap into Shippo and get access to best-in-class e-commerce shipping. And at the core of this, when I talk to people about shipping, it's so often that it's, this not sexy thing. It's this cost center. It's this commodity that I need to optimize. But when you look at it through that lens, and when businesses look at it through that lens, they're omitting such a major possibility. So really the core thesis of Shippo is that shipping is not a cost center to be optimized. It's a growth engine that when used properly can drive some really awesome results for your business. And when I think about the e-commerce space today, a lot of these benefits from best-in-class shipping spanning from pre-purchase to fulfillment to checkout to post-purchase experiences have really been exclusive to only the most resource-rich, most technologically advanced organizations. And what we're doing at Shippo is changing that dynamic for everyone. So to double click into what I mean by shipping being a growth engine, and the results not just being, saving a little bit of money on the postage that you purchase. To me, shipping, it starts with understanding what I mean by shipping. And for me, when I think about shipping, it's something that starts at the first moment a prospective customer engages with a brand, and it doesn't end at the point that that customer has made a purchase and received their item, and that when businesses are able to string together this full life cycle process, they start to see really awesome results in the form of higher conversion rates, greater cart sizes, reduced costs, reduced time, more repeat purchasing, higher lifetime value of customers, stronger reviews for their site. And to paint a little bit more vivid of a picture of that, what we do at Shippo is package up that entire experience spanning from pre-purchase through to fulfillment through to post-purchase into one easy to use, accessible platform that a business of any size can tap into. And so when you think about the experience that a business goes through and their customers go through when it comes to shipping, it starts at, what ETAs is the business able to offer to their customers to encourage them to convert? What kind of offerings for shipping do they have to offer at checkout to encourage people to perhaps put more items in their cart and convince them to actually go through with that checkout? How do they go about optimizing, finding the very best carrier and best service level for every parcel they need to ship? How do they convey that information and communicate it to their customers so that they know the status of their orders? And even at the end of the process, in the event that a customer needs to process a return, how efficiently and effectively can that business process that return such that the customer remains happy and is confident that they want to come back and purchase again and can do so with trust and confidence? And so to accomplish democratizing these benefits, what we've done is we've built this platform, which at the base is a network of 60 plus global carriers, and that's spanning across the major carriers that folks are familiar with here in the US, obviously the USPS, all of the major international private carriers like FedEx, UPS, DHL, but also a wide network of smaller regional carriers that are specializing in overnight and same-day delivery, the top national carriers in other regions like Deutsche Post in Germany, Canada Post in Canada. And what we found is that each and every one of these carriers tends to operate wildly differently from one another. They have different zone maps. Some don't have zone maps at all. They have different rate cards. They don't match up. They have different tracking statuses. They do pickups differently. They do returns differently. And so the first thing we did was built this normalization layer such that a business can interact and work with all these carriers at once and optimize to use multiple carriers for their business without having to sort any of that out on their own. And so all of the features and functionality we offer, from showing rates at checkout to validating addresses, printing shipping labels, sharing tracking statuses, all of that functionality is unified across 60 plus global carriers so that you get that best in class service, regardless of where you are and regardless of who you ship with. And then ultimately, these services are being used by top e-commerce brands, folks like Tuft & Needle, Hims, Bombas, who are working directly with Shippo to optimize their shipping. But on top of that, we also power several of the top players in logistics and 3PL space, warehouses that are using our software to optimize their operations. And finally, we partner with many of the largest e-commerce platforms and marketplaces such that those platforms like Wix or Mercari or Amazon or OfferUp can extend these services out to their merchants to make them more successful. And yeah, that's Shippo in a nutshell. Thank you everyone for joining and listening. And at this time, I'm going to pass it back to Johannes, who's going to kick off our panel discussion.
Well, to say two words, super Mario. You should have told us that you're gonna put on that hat before, because once you started your presentation, we were bursting of laughter and had some tears. So great show act. Really happy to have all of you with us. And Toby, I think, yeah, great pitches, right?
Definitely, very interesting. And I think very different topics also. And what would interest me maybe as a question for you guys would be, as we are now at the South by Southwest digital version, so the question goes out more to Kamal, because I think Mario is obviously already active in the US, but it goes out to Kamal and Beres. Is the US a market where you're already active, or is it a market where you are probably going to be active in the near future?
We are not active yet. We already got some attention, created some attention there, like shipping companies, but also micro hub companies. For us in the moment, it's a bit early. I think we still need to grow in Germany. We still need to optimize our solution. But next year, or then the year after next year, I think it's time for us to go there. New York, for example, they have a lot of cargo bikes now on the street, but also like Los Angeles, Miami, Montreal, the Canadian Post does a lot of this cargo bikes. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. We are not active yet, but in 1 to 2 years we will.
Kamal, how about you?
Yeah, same here. I mean, we are more focused on some of the emerging markets right now. Our solutions are targeted at emerging markets with more affordable solutions. But from a US market perspective, we are more interested in specifically working with mid-market insurers because we see a lot of applications of our automotive IoT technologies on the insurance side, and how with different modes of transports coming in, how insurers are adapting to that or using telematics. So from that segment perspective, US is interesting for us.
Okay. Lady and gentlemen, to be correct, listening to all of your presentations and bearing in mind that actually last year around this time I had a flight ticket to Austin, and everybody from the Hamburg innovation community who wanted to go was still very found that event would happen. Well, 12 months later, we're still sitting here in front of cameras and doing this event digitally. We all know why, so I'm gonna not mention the word, but listening to your presentations, and obviously the growth that Ono is experiencing, the growth that we've seen in one of your slides, Beres, with all the last mile logistics and e-commerce happening, I would sense that the year has been pretty good for you and for Mario and his team. And on the other hand, the few times I went to work, I cycled to work, I've never been in a city of Hamburg where so little traffic happened. So I would sense that the Graphmaster solutions and Kamal, everything that you do, maybe had a bad year. And Kirsten, a question to you then, maybe also, was your experiment maybe also possible because everybody stayed at home anyways and didn't need a parking spot? Or how do you see that? So very open question, whoever wants to take that. How did the last 12 months influence the mobility solutions and logistics solutions that you are working on? Whoever wants to have the braveness to go first. I look at Mario with his head.
I'm happy to chime in. So yeah, it's admittedly a very sensitive topic because there's so many things, so many people, so many businesses that have had so many challenges over the last year. So it feels almost inappropriate for me to be kind of bragging. But the reality is that for Shippo and the e-commerce industry, that with so many more folks staying at home, being careful with quarantining and social distancing, that there's been a pretty seismic shift in how people transact and how commerce is dealt with. I think that the interesting stat that I've seen thrown around a bunch over the last year was e-commerce as a percentage of total retail saw more growth in the second quarter of 2020. So really the first 3 months of the kind of stay home orders than it had in the previous 5 years. And obviously with that rapid of growth for a company like Shippo, that I really see what we do as being the intersection of the digital world of e-commerce and the physical world of shipping. And we really provide that service that can, solve for that gap between consumers and businesses. So we saw, quite a bit of growth. We saw, businesses that were already successful online doubling down and expanding their efforts. But we also worked with thousands of smaller retailers, SMBs, who were setting up e-commerce presences for the first time ever. And so one of the things that we did was we put together a pretty comprehensive guide that walks folks through all of the steps you need to take to transition your business online and get up and running. And commensurate with that, we actually offered our software completely free of charge for the course of 2020 for small businesses, so that we would hopefully be giving them the tools they need to succeed in this new online world. If folks want to check that out, it's at goshippo.com/OSH, short for Online Selling Handbook. So, long story short, seen a lot of growth, but, really, really proud of what the team's been able to accomplish and what we've been able to do to, help out online merchants. And I guess the last point I'll make is that I don't see this as being a massive change from what was already happening. If anyone who looks at this data, the percentage of retail that's moving online has been persistently going up for the better part of 2 decades. We just saw an acceleration over the last year. And, I think it'll be really interesting to see how things shift once hopefully we're all kind of back and doing business in person again. But my expectation is that folks are not going to take down those online stores they set up, that we're going to continue to see growth in the e-commerce space even well into 2021 and onwards.
Beres, and Ono is going to carry all that packages, right?
Exactly. I mean, last year was definitely challenging, Johannes, but for us, it was in total quite successful. We doubled our team. We had a lot of more inquiries from potential customers, and our customers, of course, had an insane year last year, and it's still going on, right? For them was always Black Friday or Christmas time the whole year on. So, and they're looking for new solutions more than ever before. And yeah, it was challenging for saving the supply chain, for like onboarding a lot of new team members, of course. But in terms of sales and doing pilot projects and bringing vehicles on the street, it was even, yeah, it was actually a quite good year from us. I think you see not so much traffic in Hamburg in the moment because a lot of people are still in home office, but I think they will come back. We will see more cars and trucks again on the street. And public transport is maybe less popular because of the virus. So this is something we have to think about. We have to compensate maybe. I think we need more bicycle infrastructure to help people to choose the bike in the future. This is something we see in Berlin already, like pop-up bicycle ways. So yeah, it was a challenging year, but quite successful. And we're looking forward for this year.
Can I ask you a question, Beres?
Sure.
You say we need more bicycle infrastructure. I absolutely agree. But for biking to be an all year round solution in our climate, we're hot in the summer, but we're cold in the winter, and it rains a lot and so on. So I would love to see your kind of vehicle without the cargo attached for sort of protected bikes. Is that going to be coming up? I think that they're not around yet, and it would be so important to make biking sustainable all year round.
Yes, I think this is definitely something we will come up in the future, not this year, and maybe also not next year, but a protected bicycle for one person or and 1 or 2 kids is definitely something we're working on. We're not the only one, Kirsten. There are some other startups in Europe who have this kind of protected bicycle or weatherproof bicycle. And I think this will give more people the option to not to choose the car, and this is what we need.
I'd like to be a test driver, please.
Sure.
Me too.
I will call you. Okay. Great.
Kamal, Alex, can you tune into those positive vibes, or has the last year told you that there has been less mobility anyways, so there's less need for intelligent apps? I'm provocative, I know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Of course, from traditional parameters of mobility last year was obviously challenging, but I think what it really means for companies like us who are more a technology play is to be able to adapt So while personal car mobility was obviously down, we saw obviously more adoption of connected solutions or IoT solutions on commercial transportation, for example, right? So that picks up the slack from the downside in the personal mobility space. And also, I think these things also provide some newer opportunities as people are holding on to their existing cars for longer. They want to optimize how they use their vehicles. That creates opportunities for making use of this data which is coming from cars. Those use cases which were not so maybe relevant are, I would say, even more relevant as people try to share cars or use their vehicles for a longer duration. And the last point is, I think some of the impact is different in different countries in the world. I mean, in countries like India, we have seen now an increase in personal car sales, paradoxically, in the last few months, as compared to other things, because people are preferring to own their own vehicle for safety purpose as compared to using public transport. So it depends from what is the starting point. So in emerging markets where the usage or the adoption of car is pretty low right now, you may actually see an increase in number of cars in the short to medium term rather than a decrease in number of cars, right? So in that sense, mobility is hyper local. I think the trends could be different in different countries depending upon what is the starting point and what are the options which are available for people in terms of the mobility choices.
So what shall I say? I can still very vividly remember actually the very first day when we had this lockdown in Germany at the beginning of March, because I was driving on the motorway and I was thinking like, gosh, I'm the only one. There was nobody. And I drove to the office and I said, yeah, no matter what, I will go there. And it only took me 22 minutes. I never achieved that, to do that again. But ever since, I mean, of course, so traffic is heavily down, but no matter what you do, people need to move. So every time that you offer actually any mode of mobility, people will grab it and people will use it. So obviously, if cities plan to go greener and offer more pop-up biking lanes and more walking around or whatever, actually what will happen, the places available or the space available to cars is going to narrow down, but this will not decrease the need for a smoother transition using intelligent navigation systems like we provide. And actually what happens to the team of Graph Masters is that we increased our team size by about a third during the pandemic. Today we have even more people actively working in the transition towards dynamic tour planning in logistics, because all our main customers nowadays, they start using trials on how can we organize the back of the vans so that we can have more and more packages in there instead of doing classical division in the delivery zones that you used to see. So the Hermes Group, one of our biggest customer, actually discovered that they can do more and more packages without driving significantly more kilometers. So this is a huge gain actually in sustainability for all of us, because they can actually go out there, do a lot more without doing more damage to the environment. So for us as a company, we very much focused on, like in my section, obviously, I mean, I'm more into the mobility sector. So yes, we did lose big customers like the DFL in Germany, the German Football League, in which we were in talk about organizing the mass events to the football games. Of course, there is no official football games with visitors anymore. So yes, we did lose them. But what we try to do is we try to concentrate internally on narrowly focusing how you could actually make the buyer experience into the NUNAV world more accessible to our clients. And now we're in the early stage of 2021, and we're already seeing the fruits in all of this. We're heavily involved with a lot of cities nowadays who prepare actually for the time of being reopened again, and they start to invest heavily into sensorics, like parking sensorics, where they can do parking analytics and so on. And obviously we have one of these ideal solutions where they could simply navigate actually their visitors automatically to the free parking lot that they deserve, or even the next hub, and jumping off and going off to the using Hochbahn and all the public services, the bikes and so on. So it's been a challenging year, but it's been very rewarding at the same time.
Great, and I think Alex, of course, we will see each other. We will all see each other at the ITS Congress, but we're looking forward to working with you there. Before we actually come to what is going to be expected in October, Kirsten, one quick question to you and to the project that you introduced. Did you find out with this mobility budget that that the residents who gave up their parking lot, what they used the most? Was it e-scooters? Was it car sharing? Was it public transportation? And were 300 euros enough, or do you need more?
Well, actually, we did find out. It was summer, so 50% of transportation was done by public transport and private bicycle.
Okay.
This was something that we found from the diaries that people logged every day, and the rest was sort of distributed depending a little bit about the age. Obviously, older people don't use so many e-kick scooters. They used taxi, which younger people never really used. They used rental cars on the weekend. That was one of the major points where people felt more improvement was necessary, because sometimes there's a shortage of rental cars on the weekend, which shouldn't be the case. Yeah, so yes, we found out a lot of interesting stuff from this experiment. Yeah,
Interesting.
and
Thank
actually the 300 euros were quite enough. People used on average 220 euros, and I find that's really interesting, because if you have you know, sort of a mid-size, like Golf kind of sized car, that will cost you at least 350 euros a month if you think in full costs, so including depreciation and so on. So if you get rid of a car, you will always save more money than you will be spending on the additional mobility devices that you have to buy.
Interesting. Thank you.
And then we're also waiting for flat rates and things like that. I'm sure that'll be around soon. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So if we were in Austin right now, we probably would go to a barbecue or a bull riding or something like that, or tap dancing, or you name it. We are not in Austin, but we will be in Hamburg in October. Toby, if Super Mario, Kamal, Alex, Beres, of course, Kirsten will be here with us in October, what can we expect actually of the Congress and the exhibition?
I think we can expect a lot of innovative solutions, especially from the startups, because in the recent congresses, so you need to know the ITS World Congress is a yearly event. Well, didn't take place in 2020. It was supposed to be in LA actually, but didn't take place. It is a yearly event, and you can really see one thing which is interesting for this panel. Startups are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. They get more attention from the people at the Congress. They get more attention not only from like regular visitors, but also from the companies, important decision makers, and also, which I find very important, also from the politics. Because a lot of the topics we are talking about are also have a lot of regulative aspects sometimes, or the quest of city space. So there's a lot to speak with the public, actually, with the public sector and with politics. And I think that's a very strong thing at the World Congress, that we mix these different groups, and without any doubt, startups get more and more attention. So I can only invite you, come to the startup area that we have at the World Congress. Startups are very welcome there, and we give them a lot of attention generally. So would be great to have you all here in October in Hamburg.
Kirsten and her team and myself and my team, we will do the utmost to give this really a breath of fresh air during the Congress, to have lots of startups with us. Kamal has already booked his seat at the table. Beres will be there, Alex, of course, and I know, Mario, your team is spread all over the world right now, and your CEO is actually living in Hamburg for the time being, so we'll also welcome him. I would really love to, and to be honest, this feeling here with our lounge is also very nice, but I would love to stroll along the streets of Austin now with all of you, but this is not possible, as we've learned that looking into a camera for the last 12 months can get some a little bit tiring at times, and we've almost reached the end of our time, of our hour that we wanted to give you. Let me say thank you to everybody who joined in, who listened to the show. Thank you very much to our 3 startups, to Graphmasters, Kirsten, for your time and your presentation. I think I can't wait to have an event live at the Urban CoLab. Hopefully our government gets the vaccination policy up and running so that we can visit you in Munich also. Toby, thanks for joining us, and everybody else. We look forward to see you at South by Southwest next year in person, but this year in October at the ITS World Congress in Hamburg. So thanks a lot. Have a great day and evening.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.